All right, I wanted to give you a quick tour of a proposed kind of structure for the project-based learning site. It's pretty flexible based on the way it's set up, so it should be able to do most anything we want. Visually, I'm sticking with the Middlebury brand colors. I've got a little bit of the graph paper stuff going on in the background just because of the connotation with projects. We could do a little bit more maybe with kind of a blueprint idea if that's interesting or exciting. Visually, other than that, I kind of stuck with the Bucks icons or as close to them as I could find. So you can see that kind of replicated there. The front page, we've streamlined a good bit. I'm sticking with iconography as well until we get maybe some real pictures that we can use. And all this stuff is pretty easily accessible, and I'll show you how the back end looks. But you can kind of see we've got an intro piece, the ability to kind of highlight some elements, we've got a menu going on. The idea of these three chunks of main content where we're trying to get the new people, pitch them right to examples and tools, and connect and contribute. And then I pulled out design and teaching so that they were a little more highlighted here. Now, each one of these has a page, as you'd expect. And on that page, we have some flexibility. So I haven't finished really styling these out, but the idea that we could have, you know, 1, 2, 3, or as many of these columns as we want with different resources being displayed on the page level, as well as kind of what this item is and how we're describing it. This could get a little more built out, but right now it's not a bad kind of placeholder. Where things I think get interesting and kind of how some of this authoring works. So we now have a content post type called resource, and when we add a resource, we can give it a title, a description, but then we can align it to these 4 different elements. So the type, and we can reflect on these and whether that's a good example or not. We can associate it with a discipline if we wish, and then a design element and teaching practice. And the nice thing here is if we have one item that falls across this spectrum in a number of ways, we can just do that. We have a case study that's interdisciplinary, that focuses on critique and revision and designing and planning. And then we can add the URL to the piece, or we can upload the file itself. So those sorts of things let you write it once and it shows up in multiple places, which can be really helpful. And then, where did I put it? We can also do some on the fly types of looking at these things. So now we have our resources, which are all the things in there. And what we can do is do simple searches, like just show me all the stuff that has to do with arts and humanities. What we find is that we only have syllabi right now, but we can also do a case study that has the design element, challenging problem, or question. So you see how we can start to make this a pretty dynamic experience for people, and we can also search by keywords, like say we wanted to look for evidence. So all those things happen, and each one of these URLs we could send as a link. We could use in our own methodology here, like say we wanted to make research just this. Now, instead of having to build a whole new page for research, we have a URL that we could connect here. There's pagination, we can reset filters, we could make this more or less complex, but hopefully that starts to show how the data elements can be in there, and then we can enable people to submit them via form to create all these pieces. And we just need to spend a little bit of time thinking through, like, what types do we want for sure, in addition to the design elements and teaching practices and that sort of thing. But hopefully this is interesting and along the right lines. I think, like I said, it's pretty flexible, so we should be able to do a lot of stuff with it. You know, I'm happy to show people at some point like how all this fits. Like here, these build the little columns, so you can title it and decide which categories you want to show up in this area, and you could make another one. And let's say we only wanted it to be research, and we can update that. And then what we should see here is now we have 3 columns. So you've got the ability to kind of build on the fly and do some pretty neat things without needing to know any sort of web development elements or even to mess with a visual builder. So look forward to showing it to you live at some point, and hope we're on the right path here.